Hey everybody.
Hope everybody's doing well. We're getting on a little early before 7 o'clock so we can get all the technical stuff worked out and make sure everybody has an opportunity to get on.
All right, so Brittany, we're going to be looking for you. And so let's see. Hey Sally, how are you? You guys know tonight we're just here. We're going to be talking about Daryl's weight loss journey. So hey Robin.
Hi Robin.
Thanks you guys for hitting the hearts and the likes. And we are going to be trying to kind of figure out the tech part of this. Hey B, how are you? Hey Shirley.
Hi Shirley.
And we
Hello Janice, how are you?
hope you guys have had a good day.
Hi.
We've been excited to talk to you guys about this today.
Absolutely.
We have been. All right.
There's,
Let's see.
yep,
Brittany
that's her.
wants
Just
to
click
join
it.
your video right here.
I would assume so. Well, maybe, yep, right there, approve.
Okay. All right. You know, this is the first time.
Oh, there we go. There you are. All right. We weren't too sure if we were going to get it right, but we did.
I'm so glad. Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Let me, we can't
Okay,
hear very
with
well.
the mics, I don't know that we have
Oh, okay.
volume on this thing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Can you hear us, Brittany?
I can, loud and clear.
Okay, awesome.
Ooh.
Okay. Good. Okay, well, Brittany, there's usually about 1,000 people that are on our lives, and so we're just they usually start joining, so how about we give it a few minutes
Perfect.
and let everybody come on.
Yep.
Hey,
You
Lisa
guys
and
tell me.
Patsy, how is everybody? We have like the best followers.
I am
So if
seeing
you're
that.
out there in Facebook land, Brittany, can you just say testing 1, 2, 3 and see if they can hear you?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you can hear me. Want to make sure you're hearing both of us.
Right.
Hello to you.
Is everybody hearing Brittany?
They said hello to you both, but I want to make sure they can hear us both.
Okay.
Yeah. They usually can hear us with these mics, but I think everybody's all right.
Yeah, there's usually a little bit of a delay. Brittany, you're like probably so much better at this than we are.
Yeah,
No.
this is our first foray into this world of
I love it.
technology.
Let's just go for it, you know?
Yeah. So just wanted to start out tonight with a brief introduction to my story and why we're here tonight talking. So many of you know, some of you may not, that I had a major stroke about 11 years ago. And it about took my life. And when it came out of the hospital, I was prescribed metformin twice a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. And it was to get my A1C in line because it was a little out of whack in the hospital. And I had 10 years of going up and down, no consistency, and I could never get it down to where the doctor could say, okay, let's pull away from these prescriptions. I gained weight and things just physically, I didn't feel well. And then back in October, I went to the doctor and they took the blood and my A1C came back at 8.3. And I was having issues. My toes were tingling. I was having inflammation. There was water gain on
your ankles were swollen.
Yeah, on the lower legs, and just other floaters in my eye. There's just issues going on. And then they prescribed, or my doctor prescribed me Moderna, so a once a week shot on top of Jardiance and metformin. And I said, no, something's got to change. Annie had been, her life, she's a life coach, and the person that she listens to was listening to Brittney and talking to Brittney pretty consistently about her journey through dealing with diabetes or pre-diabetes and all these things. And this product that we're going to talk about tonight was prominent. It was the reason that Jody was able to get it under control. So we thought back in October, that's what we would do. And I've been on it for 4 months and we haven't talked about it. You've seen the progression if you've been here. I've lost 26 pounds. And the last time I went to the doctor, my A1C was down to a 6. I'm hoping the next one is in the 5s, and that prescriptions can be pulled and I don't have to take things. So that's my story, and that's why I believe in this product that Brittney's going to talk about. And I wanted to introduce you to what I've been through and to Brittney. And Brittney, please, if you could, take over now.
Okay. Oh. She's on mute.
Are you on mute, Brittney?
How about now?
Okay.
There
There we
we
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
Okay.
think what we will do is take this microphone out and take our microphones off. That way we can
I
hear
actually
you better.
think it was on my end. My son was talking, and so I muted, and now I just unmuted myself. I just forgot I had done that, so sorry about it.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, Daryl, I just want to start out by saying that like you sharing your story is so meaningful to me, and it's just such a blessing to hear how far you've come, and having an experience that started with symptoms and then it gets worse, and you're kind of at the mercy of whoever you go to help you, to tell you what to do to keep living. And it's a scary thing. If anybody on this call has been there where they've got a health scare, or maybe you're starting to notice early symptoms and you don't want to end up with the diagnosis, I can really relate to that. And I want to tell you a little bit about my story and why I got so involved in all of this. And I would love like your comments and participation. I can't share my screen on Facebook, but I do have a little flip chart that I'm going to hold up. And I know there's comments coming in. Is this backwards for you guys? Is it backwards, or can you read this?
It's backwards.
Okay, so I'm just going to read it off to you. And I want you all in the comments to be thinking, I think there's a way I can fix my screen so I can mirror it for the next part. But if you are struggling with one or more of these things, then what we're going to talk about and teach you about tonight is really going to help you. There are early signs to health issues that most of us overlook, or we think is just normal, is just part of aging. We don't realize that a lot of our different problems are connected and they're all related to the same root problem. And so just briefly, I'm going to go through a list of things. And if you or someone you love is struggling with one or more of these things, will you just pop in the chat and just tell us, like say me, or you can tell us the specific thing that you've been struggling with. So psoriasis and eczema, acne, diabetes or pre-diabetes, heart disease, skin tags or skin pigmentation issues, like where you're noticing like the skin around your neck or under your arms is starting to look darker, mental health issues like anxiety or depression, fatigue, arthritis, feeling bloated. If you've noticed that you have kind of an inability to lose weight, and you especially are noticing that you're kind of thickening around your midsection. Maybe you even have kind of a firm protruding belly, or maybe you don't really have a firm protruding belly, but you're just noticing that your pants aren't fitting like they used to around your waist. If you are noticing cravings for salty or sugary foods, if you have migraines or chronic headaches, if you have been told you have high cholesterol or polycystic ovarian syndrome, or a loss of muscle mass or fatty liver disease, or high blood pressure, or constant hunger. And I know you're thinking, is she still going? I'm still going, because these things are all related to the same thing. Inflammation, obesity. We have 1 in 4 Americans right now, American adults are on one of the weight loss injections. Probably many of us on this call are using one of those. It is so common because the problem is so predominant. So many people are struggling with their weight and that's leading to these constant cravings and the prediabetes, erectile dysfunction for men, irritable bowel syndrome, neuropathy, Alzheimer's and dementia. Many doctors are now calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. So if that's something that's in your family and you're worried that it might just be genetic, there are things you can start doing now to really prevent that. The last one I'll say, I mentioned it before, but the polycystic ovarian syndrome. And, you know, this is something that women who are in their childbearing years really notice. It's the #1 cause of infertility. And so depending on who's on this call right now, maybe this is you, but maybe this is one of your children or your grandchildren. People are getting diagnosed younger and younger with this polycystic ovarian syndrome. 26% of women. It's just so rampant. And let's see here. This is probably going to be backwards, and I am sure there's got to be a way that I can turn this around, but I'm not sure. But you guys are going to get the point. A lot of those things that I just listed are here. The high blood pressure, the prediabetes, and they all come back to the same root problem. And since this is backwards, I'll read it for you, but it's the insulin resistance. Okay, so if anybody on this call has heard of insulin resistance, I would love for you to tell us. We're seeing a lot of stuff in the chat about inflammation, cravings, the high blood pressure, right? Many of us are dealing with these things. Have you heard of insulin resistance? I'm just curious. Okay, a couple people are saying me, several of these are my family. Right, so I just want you to know that if this is something that you're struggling with, you're not alone, and it's not really your fault. And we're going to talk a little bit about why this is happening and why it's so predominant and what you can do about it. I want to start out by just showing you this picture and why this is so close to my heart. This is my dad. My dad was my absolute hero. He was the best dad in the world. And here he is with some of my kids when they were a little younger. And when my dad turned 58, he got diagnosed with colon cancer. And, you know, of course, my dad was young, and we just thought he's going to be totally fine. He's going to beat this. He's very vibrant, very gregarious, outgoing, center of attention kind of guy. Last thing we ever thought. I mean, he was going to fight, of course. And, you know, what we didn't realize was that he had been given warning signs for years that there was a problem. He had psoriasis, he had high blood pressure, he had cholesterol issues, he had prediabetes. My dad had insulin resistance. He just didn't know what that was. And we didn't know what that was. And by the end of this call, you guys are going to all be experts on this, and you're going to know exactly what that means. But we were treating the wrong thing. We were treating the high blood pressure. We went to the doctor, there was a medication for that. We were treating the cholesterol. We were treating the psoriasis. And the side effects of many of those medications led to lowering his immune system, and eventually are what I think caused the cancer. And I think if I would have, the things I learned in trying to help him fight the cancer really taught me what we could have done 10 years prior, and what would have made a huge impact if we had only caught this sooner. And so even though that's something that I frankly am sad about every day, it lights this fire in me, because there's so many people who it's not too late for, who absolutely still have a chance to completely turn their lives around and not just manage their problems, not just, oh, you've got diabetes. Okay, well, we're going to try to slow your track down as slow as possible. No, we help people make a U-turn and go a totally different direction, because you do not have to live with these metabolic issues. There are so many things you can do. And when I learned about the things that you could do, I started researching like crazy and reading books and finding that there was tons of research on things that you could do. And I love this. Somebody just asked like, hey, am I a doctor? No, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm a health coach. But really, I'm like an enthusiast who went down a deep rabbit hole trying to save my dad. And what I learned, I can't unlearn. And all of the things I'm going to talk to you about today are not my opinion. Every single thing I'm going to show you is backed by science, backed by research, and is truly changing people's lives. In fact, I want to show you just a little bit of proof of that. We just heard Daryl's story, so it's not like that's not enough. But this is my friend Katie. And this is Katie. She struggled with polycystic ovarian syndrome since her 20s. She was on thyroid medication and metformin, and she steadily gained weight. She ended up getting diagnosed pre-diabetic. She was on Ozempic for 3 years, couldn't lose the weight. It helped her A1C a little, so they kept her on it, but really she wasn't getting better. She was actually feeling worse. Her hair was thinning, the weight was adding on, the skin tags, all the different issues that she was managing were just horrible. And when she decided to try these two simple steps that we're going to teach you today, it thinks it's my birthday because I did the two. These two simple steps. I'm telling you, this is what turned everything around for her. And now she's off all her medications. She's been off them for she's been off the Ozempic for like 3 years. She's been off the metformin and the thyroid meds for 1.5 years. She's lost 100 pounds. She's not pre-diabetic. Her cholesterol's in balance. Her thyroid's good. I'm telling you, this is not your fault. This is happening because we have a systemic problem. And if you are struggling, you're not alone. This is my friend Natalie. Natalie was suffering. She looks great, right? Like, what's wrong with Natalie? Well, Natalie didn't have massive meet the eye metabolic issues if you just saw her. But what you didn't know is she was struggling with depression, and she was battling food noise all the time. She was constantly thinking about the next thing to eat. Am I eating too little? Am I eating too much? No, I can't have that. I'm going to Disneyland. I got to pack all my own food. I'm going here. I got to manage my carbs. I mean, it was like never ending food noise and chatter in her mind. And when Natalie found these 2 steps, same thing Daryl found, she is now down 20 pounds that she didn't even really mean to lose, but she reversed her depression in 3 weeks. And she says that she has food freedom unlike anything she's ever known. And so that is really the power of what I want to show you guys today. And I want you to just briefly, I want you to know that, you know, if we had a situation where only a few people are struggling, and this is actually something I would say to Annie because she's a teacher and so she understands this. You don't have to stay, Annie, you can go. But I just want to point out that if you're in a classroom and you have one student that's struggling or a couple students that are struggling, it might be the student. But if 93% of your class was struggling, it might be a teacher problem. It might be a systemic problem, right? And that is the most recent study in America, is that 93% of the American adults have metabolic syndrome. So I'm just going to rattle off a few other statistics just to help you feel less alone. 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic or diabetic. 74% of Americans are overweight. 50% of children are overweight. This is new. This did not used to be like this. If you think about our grandparents, that was not how it was. This is a new thing. 37% of American women suffer from depression. 26 have that polycystic ovarian syndrome that I was talking about. Okay. Yes, you bet. And I can send you all the statistics for any of this. I can get that to Daryl and Annie if you guys want to pass that along. A lot of it you can find. I highly recommend. I'm actually going to grab it really quick and show you. I highly recommend this book right here called Good Energy. I mean, there's a lot of books I could reference, but this one has a lot of the most recent statistics because it's a brand new book. And there's also another book I would highly recommend called Why We Get Sick by Dr. Benjamin Bickman. He's one of the top metabolic scientists in the world. He's a professor, and he is just blowing people away with his current research on this. So why is this happening? Why are so many of us struggling? The biggest reason is because we are dealing with processed foods. You guys know this better than I do, right? Everybody's heard about this processed food thing, but most of us don't totally understand, like, what exactly does that mean? I mean, I know foods are processed, but I try to eat pretty healthy, right? Well, even the fruits and vegetables are bigger and sweeter than they've ever been because we can do that, right? We have the chemical engineering available to make everything more palatable. And what happened was food makers got very smart. They figured out that if they removed certain nutrients from our food, we would never feel satisfied. We would never feel satiated. So we would just keep eating and keep eating and keep eating. And as you can imagine, this is a very good thing if you're a food maker because you want people to just need the constant snacks and to be eating all day long, okay? So let's just take wheat. This is wheat out in the wild. We all know what it looks like in a wheat field, right? But then what food makers do is they take the bran off the wheat and we're left with the white fluffy stuff that we make the bread with, right? When you think of wheat, whole wheat, you're probably thinking of that wild wheat field, but what we actually consume is something totally different. Take an apple, the most perfect food if you ask me. Wrapped in fiber, flesh is filled with pectin, and it has a lot of starchy carbohydrates in there too. Okay, so if I was to juice this apple, it would actually probably take 3 full apples that I would need to juice to get a glass of apple juice. And on the other side of the juicer would be a bunch of fiber, right? The fiber would be on one side and the juice, the sugar water basically would be on the other. But that is not the way nature intended it. And if you believe in God, that's not the way God intended it. God intended that we would get the carbohydrates and the fiber together, that those things would stay intact. That our body knows what to do with the carbohydrates when the fiber is there. But when the fiber has been taken out, that's a very hefty carbohydrate load for us. And if you go look at the grocery store, you will see things like oats, things like brown rice that you would think would be whole grains and must surely have the fiber intact. If you look on the back of the box, you'll see they have almost no fiber and lots of carbohydrates. This is what makes cereal, which is what I grew up thinking fiber was, right? It's just all carbohydrates. It's been processed. And so even sugar itself, think about it. This is the way God intended, came packaged in fiber, but we remove the fiber and we eat it like this. This is how we use it in everything we make, okay? Rice, we don't even think of rice looking like this. We just think of the white fluffy stuff, but it was wrapped in fiber and we've removed that. And this is a smart move, like I said, because what happens when we don't have, well, what happens when we do have fiber? Let's say that, okay? And again, this is backwards, so I'm just gonna read it to you. Fiber makes you feel full. It gives satiety, okay? It balances cholesterol. That's just a natural thing that fiber does for us. It helps balance our cholesterol. It makes you sensitive to insulin. There's that word again. We're gonna come back to insulin in a minute, but fiber makes you naturally sensitive to insulin, which is what we want. It controls your blood sugar. This is huge. It helps with digestion. We all know that. Okay, that's what fiber's for, helps with digestion, right? But it also feeds your gut microbiome. So it improves your gut health, okay? It lowers your triglycerides. If you've ever looked on your cholesterol breakdown when you get your blood results from your doctor, there's a number in there called triglycerides. And that number is a very important, very like a marker you want to keep an eye on. You want your triglycerides to come down low. Triglycerides are a blood fat, okay? And they're caused by sugar, too much carbohydrates and sugar. And so fiber helps bring those down. It also restores your leptin signaling. And leptin is the hormone that tells you, I'm done eating. I'm not hungry anymore. Stop, okay? So because we're missing this fiber, this is the #1 problem that we've got. But this lack of fiber is causing another problem for us because now we are hungry all the time, right? We're hungry all the time because we're never getting the satiety we need. So we're eating super frequently. Most of us can't go more than a couple hours without a handful of this or a bite of that or a little snack here and there. And this is maybe even something where you say, oh, I've tried and I get lightheaded, I feel dizzy, I feel weak, I can't fast. I remember Daryl saying that that was the case for him
It's true.
when he had tried to fast,
Yeah.
right? So maybe you've tried fasting and you're like, it does not work for me. This is because you don't have what you need to sustain the fast. And I'm going to tell you what you need in just a minute here, but you're missing that. And so now you're eating super frequently. And I even had a dietitian tell me that I needed to have 6 small meals. And the reason I was, has anybody else been counseled that? To keep my blood sugar stable, to keep myself, that what I was actually told was, if you don't eat 6 small meals, then you're going to slow down your metabolism, right?
Right.
And then we're going to start storing fat. So of course, this is a big fear we have. But the problem is, every time we eat anything, and most of the foods that we're eating are heavy on the carbohydrate side, as I just explained, we get this glucose spike, and what goes up must come down. So it's always followed by a crash. And this crash is where we're triggered for more hunger. And we may think, well, I'm not diabetic, so I don't really care about this blood sugar thing, but you do. If you care about your eye health, if you care about your skin health and you don't want to age too fast, that's reason enough for me. If you care about your joints or your brain or your nerves, then you care about this. You don't want to have those blood sugar spikes and drops and spikes and drops, because it causes major problems for your health, causes bad energy, bad hormones, and overall, it really makes you feel terrible when you go through this blood sugar roller coaster all day. Most people, if we were going to look at a normal day for somebody, this is what their blood sugars might look like. They wake up in the morning and maybe you have a piece of toast, some oatmeal, a muffin, a bagel, a bowl of cereal. Some people have like coffee with cream and sugar, or maybe you have your own beverage that you like in the morning. Some people grab a soda to get them going in the morning, right? So we get this blood sugar spike, and then we have a couple little snacks before lunchtime, okay? Then here we go. Here's our breakfast. Here's our lunch. Here's our snacks in between. Because between lunch and dinner, for some of us, that's like 6 hours. So it seems like a long time to not be snacking, right? So we snack throughout the afternoon. And then we have our dinner. So here we've had our dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, the snacks in between, and maybe even a late night snack, okay? So even if you've never heard anything about this before, this is about to make sense to you, okay? Because you're spiking your blood sugars all day long. They're going up and down and up and down. Every time you eat anything, it breaks down into energy and it causes these spikes, okay? Here's what happens. When you have eaten anything and you have sugar in your blood, your body releases something called insulin. This is coming in red, okay? This is a hormone. This is a good thing. This is a hormone that is supposed to put this energy into your cells and power them so that you feel energized throughout your day. And so insulin comes in and it starts putting these sugars away. But then you snacked again. So insulin stayed elevated and it starts coming down, but you see, you keep snacking and eating. And so insulin never really has a chance to come down because it takes about 4 hours for insulin to start dropping. But we keep eating and we keep respiking the insulin. And so what happens is your body produces more insulin because it needs to make sure that it can get the energy into the cell. So imagine that you've got a cell here. This could be any cell in your body. It could be a liver cell. It could be a brain cell. It could be a muscle cell. And you've eaten some food and this cell needs energy. Insulin comes knocking at the door of the cell and it says, I have energy for you. Brittney just ate. And if the cell is working, if everything's working properly, the cell will open up, the energy will come into the cell, and the cell will be powered and everything will work properly. But when we have an example like what I just showed you, where insulin is always in the bloodstream, then we've got a cell that is just bathing in insulin all day long. Insulin saying, I have energy for you. I have energy for you. I have more energy for you. And you see what happens when it's constantly knocking is the cell, it gets insulin resistant. It's like enough. You're always knocking. I can't keep listening to you all the time. So it starts tuning the insulin out, kind of like, you know, my kids. I tell them to do the same things all the time, and they just start tuning me out. Have you ever done this? You start tuning things out that you hear all the time. This is what happens with our cells. Or maybe they're full. They're like, I can't. I don't have any more room. Stop knocking. But the problem with this is now we have brain cells or muscle cells that aren't working properly because they can't get any energy. And so we get another hunger craving because we need energy. But there's plenty of energy. The energy just can't get into the cell because the cell is insulin resistant. And I want to be clear that this presents differently for everyone. Insulin resistance of the liver is fatty liver. Insulin resistance of the blood vessel is high blood pressure. Insulin resistance of the ovaries in women is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Insulin resistance of the brain can give a migraine or dementia or Alzheimer's eventually. So everybody's not going to have the same reaction to the insulin resistant. It's going to show up in different ways for all of us. But this is what's happening when we're having these problems that we listed in the beginning, okay? So your body cranks out even more insulin. And the unfortunate thing about this, when you have tons of insulin in your body can't use its fat storage for fuel. So even though you might feel like, oh, I've got some excess, I've got some extra weight, I'd really like to lose this weight. You may even cut calories and work out more, and you can't seem to lose weight. That's because you're insulin resistant. You need to worry about getting insulin low. You need to worry about becoming insulin sensitive. And so the same thing that got us into this mess, that caused this insulin problem in the first place. Do any of you remember what the two things that caused this problem in the first place were? Oh, there we go again. Happy birthday. So the same two things that got us into this mess are going to get us out of this mess. Okay. So if we don't want to deal with all of these symptoms that we talked about in the beginning, the arthritis, the stuff Daryl was dealing with, the floaters in the eye, the lack of energy, the inflammation, the prediabetes. If you don't want to deal, yeah, it can show up as rheumatoid arthritis. I just saw somebody say that is true. Okay. If you don't want to deal with that, then you're going to put into practice these two simple steps. And I want you to also know that when you become insulin sensitive, when you get insulin under control, this is going to help with your other hormones. It's going to help with your estrogen and your testosterone. And if you're menopausal, trust me, you're going to feel a lot better. I'm not saying this takes menopause away, but this definitely softens the blow. Okay, it's going to really calm all of that down. And if you're a man and your testosterone levels are in the tank, this is going to help naturally increase your testosterone levels. It works fantastically. So the two things we need to do based on the two problems we have is, number one, we need to replace the fiber that is missing. And the way I recommend that you do this is when you eat, you start your meal. I'm actually going to show you a picture of a plate, okay? Because I want you to actually picture this. You take a plate of food like this, okay? You are going to start by eating the fiber. That's always just think in your head, fiber first. Every meal you have, fiber first. This is the opposite of what every restaurant wants you to do. They show up to the place, they hand you the free bread, they give you the sugary beverage. Don't fall into temptation. Just set it aside and start with your fiber and just save that roll till the end of your meal. Okay. I'm not saying you can't have it, but if you eat in order, you are going to notice a world of difference. You start with your fiber first, and then you have your protein and your healthy fats. And then you're going to have your carbohydrates at the end of your meal. Okay. That's how you're going to do this. And Daryl has found a very simple way to do this that makes it easy that I'm going to show you. But by eating that order and starting your meals with fiber, it's going to make number two a cinch. Number two is eat less frequently. Okay. We're going to do some basic intermittent fasting. This isn't anything crazy. Don't run. Don't be scared. You don't have to go crazy here. But I'm telling you, this is going to help you burn body fat. This is going to reset your metabolism. This is going to start reversing all those symptoms we talked about in the beginning. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do, and then I'm going to tell you, I think we talked about this in the beginning, so for those that missed this, Daryl has been using a 2-part system. It's called a nutraceutical. Have you ever heard of a nutraceutical? This was kind of a new word to me. A nutraceutical is different than a supplement. Nutraceuticals are like pharmaceuticals, but they're not medicine. They're just natural. They're just plants, and they have no side effects. Whereas a pharmaceutical, right, we have to worry about all the side effects that come along with it. So what we're going to talk about in a minute is something that will make what I'm about to show you easy. So if I show you this and you freak out, just wait. Well, we're going to make it easy. But what you want to go for is you want to wake up in the morning, and instead of having break fast, instead of breaking your fast with breakfast, you just want to kind of fast through that meal. So if you think about it, you've been sleeping, right? So you've already been fasting and you've been fine. And now you wake up in the morning and we were told breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So we think, oh no, I've got to fuel up. This is when I've got to eat to give me energy. But what I'm suggesting is that you don't, that you allow your insulin to stay low and your blood sugars to come down low, and you fast throughout the morning, and you wait to break your fast until maybe like 16 hours, okay? And if you want, you can do 3 meals a day to begin with. If this is too big of a jump for you, you could start with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, no snacks, okay? But when you get good at it, you're gonna, and if you decide to use the system, it's gonna make it a lot easier for you to just fast through breakfast. Then you're gonna have lunch, then you're gonna go back into a fast, then you're gonna eat dinner. And for the people that are saying, I'm hyperglycemic, I won't be able to do that, I can't, trust me, you'll be shocked. Daryl, you can attest to this. You weren't somebody who was able to fast without literally having physical symptoms that made him unable to work or function.
That is so true.
And now he's able to do this. So I want to explain to you why by doing a little bit of a demonstration. When you eat fibrous foods, okay? When you eat fibrous foods, they break down in your stomach. So I'm going to take this glass of water here, and I'm going to, do you like orange or berry better, Daryl?
Berry. That is
Berry.
really
Okay,
good.
me too. So I'm going to show you. This is a packet of fiber, but it's not just like Metamucil or Benefiber that you get at the grocery store. This has over 7 different forms of plant fiber. Okay, this stuff is, it has 4 patents on it. There's nothing like it on the market. And you see, when you first mix it up, you shake, 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 and you just gulp, 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 and you can drink it down real quick. And you want to drink it kind of quick, because if you wait, it's going to thicken up. So I'm going to let it thicken up for just a minute, and then I'm going to do a little demonstration with it. Okay, so when we eat, we're going to start with fiber. But during the fasting period that everybody's worried about, and everybody's thinking that sounds hard, I've heard that it's good for you, but it doesn't work for me. This is what you're going to do. You're going to take this little eating plan that I just showed you, where you have 2 meals and no snacks, and you fast through breakfast. And you are going to use these 2 simple products, okay? You get 3 of them per day when you order a 30-day supply. So when you wake up in the morning, instead of breaking your fast with food, you are gonna sip on this mate, okay? This is from a plant called yerba mate. Is anybody familiar with yerba mate plant? This plant has been getting a lot of props lately because it makes you forget about food. So we're going to wake up in the morning and we're just going to sip on this. You can make it in a 40 ouncer, a 30 ouncer of ice water, or you can have it hot. I like drinking it hot. It's totally up to you. But you sip on that all morning long. And then you have your lunch, okay? And then you're going to have your second mate of the day. This is going to help you skip on snacks in the afternoon. This is going to keep your energy up. It's going to make you forget about food. We like to call this willpower in a packet, because it literally increases your GLP-1 hormone, which your body actually produces naturally. But most people, the injections we hear about, like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, tirzepatide, those are all synthetic versions of the GLP-1 hormone. This stuff makes your body produce that GLP-1 hormone naturally. So you're just going to kind of forget about food when you're sipping on it. And then before you eat your heaviest meal of the day, which for most people is going to be their dinner, you're going to drink down this fiber. You're going to drink it down and then just eat your meal. So you just drink these 3 packets throughout your day. All right. And I always say to people, I know what you're thinking. Sounds too good to be true. It sounds like another gimmick. You got to try it. Don't knock it till you try it, because it is absolutely incredible how fantastically this works. And it's not because it's magic. It's just because it's science, and it's what's missing from our modern diet. And so when you replace what our bodies need, we just feel better. And that is what has led Daryl to this place where his A1C made such a drastic drop in the last 3 months. And the A1C is a 3-month reading. The other good thing for you to know is that this product has a 90-day money-back guarantee. And the reason that the company offers a 90-day money-back guarantee, and by the way, Daryl and I just buy it direct through the manufacturer. Yes, you can get it in Canada. It's in over 50 countries, okay? So the reason they offer the 90-day money-back guarantee is because they know that if you get your labs drawn and then you put it to the test, you will be able to prove that it works, because your A1C is a 90-day reading, okay? This will help with cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, obesity, all symptoms of insulin resistance, inflammation, everything will be benefited by this system, okay? So when you're considering whether or not this would be a fit for you, just keep in mind, and Daryl has a really good discount for you. Daryl and Annie have been working busily to make sure that you guys get the best price possible on this. And so they're going to share where they order it from with their discount in just a minute here. But I want to make sure that you guys know that the reason that this is affordable for just about anyone is because it is meant to be used with this intermittent fasting. You take the $5 to $10 that you would have spent a day on wherever you stop for your morning beverage and whatever normal, foods that you're eating for breakfast and snacks, and you are able to take, this costs about $5 a day. It's $159 with their discount, it's $159. If you go to Amazon or if you go direct to the manufacturer without a discount, you're going to pay $235. So you want to make sure you get their $75 off, okay? Their $75 off makes this $5 a day. Think about how frivolously you're spending $5 on things and what it's going to be like to take your health back, okay? So I just feel like that alone is just so amazing. But also, if you happen to have an FSA or an HSA card, a lot of people use that for their insurance, that covers this. So that's kind of a great bonus too. Some insurance is covered. Are we ready for the demonstration? Okay. So yeah, some people are asking about vitamin deficiencies and stuff. This is just kind of a bonus, but Balance, that's the name of this fiber. It actually has a multivitamin in it. So I don't take my multivitamin anymore. I just take this. Yeah, 159 pat. So yes, and there are no medications. Every single medication you can think of, you can take with this. And how I know that that's true, and I'm not going to get anybody in trouble here, is that both the products, the Unimate and the Balance that I showed you, both of these products are listed in something called the PDR, the Physician's Desk Reference. So your doctor can actually look it up, even though it's not a medication, and they can see that there's no medication interaction concerns. And so no problem if you're on a medication, you can just start using this. The only thing you have to be careful of, if you're like Daryl and you're on medication that's meant to bring your blood sugars down, then you need to work with your doctor that you don't get too low. You may find that you don't need as much medication, which I think is a good thing, but that's the goal, right? Is that your doctor says, hey, you're getting pretty low here. Let's ease off your medication. That's actually what happened to my husband. My husband was on a statin and he said to his doctor, hey, I want to use this system and try to get off the statin. And she said, I've never heard of it. It sounds like a scam. And he said, well, it's in the PDR. And she looked it up in her doctor book and was like, oh, how have I never heard of this? Let's see what happens. And so, yeah, Anna, for those that are on a fixed income, for those, this is why this is cost neutral and affordable for everyone. Is because you're just going to take that $5 that went towards your snacks and your one meal a day, and you're going to pay for this instead. Okay. So let's see what happens to the fiber as it sits. Don't do this when you're drinking this at home. But when you drink this fiber, it thickens up in your stomach. Okay. And there's a reason that you want it to get thick. So you guys can see how it's getting kind of gooish and thickish. Okay. So this is going to literally, and I'm going to roll it around my cup a little so you can see, it's going to coat the lining of your intestines. Do you see how it does that? It coats the lining of your intestines. First of all, fiber and a diverse over 7 forms of fiber are meant to fertilize your gut microbiome. So this is going to strengthen your gut health, help with IBS and leaky gut and inflammation and autoimmune problems, just right there. But here's what's really cool. When you start with fiber first, and then you have a carbohydrate, it literally wraps that carbohydrate up. And a lot of this carbohydrate that you eat after you've had the fiber is going to get stuck, and it's just going to slowly trickle into your bloodstream instead of hitting your bloodstream quickly and giving you a blood sugar spike, right? So like I showed you before, we don't want those spikes and drops and spikes and drops. We want even rolling hills. And this is why this works, is because it slows down the absorption of these carbohydrates so that you don't have the spike and drop. Have I missed any questions that you guys have seen? I know I've been just on a monologue here, so I want to give everybody a breather and let people ask some questions, or if you guys have anything to add. I mean, maybe you could share a little bit, like, what did you think when you heard about this? Were you feeling reluctant about trying this? Were you kind of like, I'm just going to go all in for 90 days? Like, where was your head when you decided to try this, Daryl?
Well, I just wasn't too sure, you know, and I needed the shock. Yeah, I was on metformin, but then she had given me Jardiance as well. So I was taking 2, and then all of a sudden she wanted to put me on Moderna as well. And it was like, hold up, something needs to change.
Yeah.
And that's where Annie came in after listening to you and Jody. And
Right. And for all of we call this our little Facebook family, and we love all of these people. And I've been looking at some of your comments, our little sweet Facebook family. We did not want to share something with you guys if we didn't feel like it worked. And that's why, Daryl, we've been doing this system for 4 months, and we are finally sharing it because we wanted to test it ourselves and see if it really did help Daryl. And I mean, I drink it too because it really helps with my brain fog. It just helps. But we feel so much hope now because Daryl has lost this weight, which he was just feeling like, I'm never going to get down below 200. And he should probably weigh, I don't know, I think you look great now, but 190, 195, and he's 6'2". And then we've just been so concerned about his, the blood sugar and how that just keeps going up and up and up. And we even had a conversation with his doctor and said, what can he, if we try to do all the right things, can he ever get off of this medication? And she said, no, he probably never will.
Yeah.
And so anyway, to all of you out there, we wanted to wait to share this until we actually believed in it, until we actually could see how it really worked. And Daryl and I were having a conversation just this weekend, and for like the first time, just feel so much hope about his future, because typically when a person has a stroke, I mean, I remember them telling me, the nurses telling me in the hospital, they will always have another one. Look for the next one. It's going to come. And so I didn't realize until we've been kind of going through this and his numbers have been coming down, how anxious I really did feel about his health. And now I feel like we have some answers in a healthy way and not adding more medication. And I mean, how do you feel? Are you feeling?
Oh, I feel great. And the system's called the Feel Great system.
Yeah, Daryl, maybe tell them where to find it, because I don't want, so many people are saying, need the order, need the link, and I don't want you to go Google it because you're going to pay $75 more than you need to. So maybe we could just tell them where to go and then continue telling them how great you
Okay.
feel.
So go to missannieshomeandkitchen.com/fiber. That'll go to our landing page and you'll see my before and after picture, or my before and my most current picture. And down at the bottom, there's a button that says order now. You're really not ordering when you click that button. What it's doing, it's taking you to the corporate page where you can actually see some videos, have some questions answered, and there order it if you can, if you want.
Is
like to.
On the link, is it Miss Annie's Home and AND
Yes.
Kitchen/fiber? Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat, and I don't think that will be hyperlinked, but we should just make sure you guys have it there so you can go scroll through and look at that. Miss Annie's Home and Kitchen/fiber. That will take you direct to them. The other thing is, if you order through there, they'll know and they'll be able to help you. Yes, go ahead.
So it's missannieshomeandkitchen.com/fiber.
Oh, okay, let me do that again.
Yeah, missannieshomeandkitchen.com/fiber.
Okay. So yeah, if you decide that you are going to try it, you'll be able to go on that page and read about the ingredients, read about any concerns you may have. Like, you'll be able to go check that out there. But the good thing is that if you guys do decide to order, Daryl and Annie are going to know, and they'll be able to follow up with you and send you a video that shows you exactly how to use the system. And you can join our community with a lot of other people that are doing this, that can help you, that might be a little further along on their journey, that there's a whole archive of before and afters and testimonials and frequently asked questions and lots of great information. If you're wondering what foods to eat, I mean, you've got the perfect source for that. And so you're just going to have so much great information at your fingertips. You won't just buy this and then be on your own. But I actually think that that's one of the really cool things about what Daryl and Annie are doing is, you all have been nurtured by these people for a long time. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you guys are willing to share something that is benefiting your life. And I hope everybody knows that, I've talked to Daryl offline a little bit about this, but when somebody in your life is struggling with their health, like, it's scary. Like Annie was just saying, you don't realize how much you carry around just an underlying anxiety when things are moving the wrong direction.
Right.
And so to see that kind of come back the other way is just a really, really wonderful thing.
Yeah. And I want to say one more thing to our little sweet followers. We wanted to wait to share until we really believed in the product, but we didn't want you guys to feel like we were selling you and selling you and selling you. That was really not our intention, as far as, but we just felt like after 4 months, we couldn't not share. So many of you guys have been asking
I think
about it.
That's what I was going to say. We just wanted to share it with you. We've been asking, or you've been asking, what's going on? What have you changed? And we just wanted to share where we were at, what we were doing, and how we were feeling. That there's been several questions. Am I off my meds now? No, I'm not. I haven't decided to. I'm not going to decide until my doctor says, okay, your A1C is down to whatever, 4.9. Time to get off of this.
But you
stuff.
go in April.
Yeah.
I do.
month.
I go in April.
Yeah.
So
I'm
really
actually
looking
glad
forward to
that
it.
everybody can be kept along for the journey. And I want to just reiterate that. I hope that for those of you who are like, I'm not interested in this whole system thing, still, please, I hope if nothing else, you take away and feel empowered that you now know something you can start applying right away. Eat less frequently, have fiber at the start of every one of your meals. If you eat foods like this, veggies, at the start of your meal, that alone is going to give you a lot of metabolic benefits. And then if you can combine that with eating less frequently, giving your body some time to switch from its food burning mode into its fat burning mode, you have to give it a chance to switch into that so that you can actually start, you know, drilling into that. And most of us never give our bodies a chance because we just eat so frequently that we just keep ourselves in sugar burning mode. So this is really a way to reset your metabolism with or without these supplements. I just think about the supplements as being something that kind of supercharge your results and make it a lot easier. But a couple people have asked, so do you have to stay on this the rest of your life? Or are you stuck using this forever? And I would just say I've been using it for over 2 years. And I just like right now, I can't figure out why I would stop just because of the results it's given me and because it's simplified things for me.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many other things where you have to measure food and count calories, and you know, you're really like hyper focused on all these details. And this is just so simple. I can take these packets with me on vacation. I can easily do this at a wedding or a birthday party when I don't have control over the menu. And I just feel like that gives me a lot of freedom. So nothing, it's not like there would be a terrible withdrawal if I stopped. I mean, they're just food, they're just natural, but I would definitely not have the benefits if I stopped. And so I just haven't decided to stop at this point.
Right. So,
I just saw a question about the fasting period. So what I do is
yeah, I think it would be good if you just shared kind of what you do.
what I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I on my way home from, everybody knows I work in Tuscaloosa, and it's a little over an hour drive home.
We'll start with when you wake up.
Yeah.
Start with when
I
you
do
wake
wake
up.
up in the morning at
Start with
5
your-
o'clock.
Start with your morning.
And, you know, about 5:30, I mix it up and I'm out the door. And I mix up the una mate and I hit the door. And it takes me about 40 to 45 minutes. I'm done with my first una mate. And I'm not quite to Tuscaloosa yet. I get to Tuscaloosa, I work for, 3 or 4 hours. It's time for lunch. And just before lunch, I partake of the balance. And Miss Annie's, I eat what she packs me. You know, whatever she's cooked, that's what I have for lunch. And then on the way home, you know, it's another 45 minutes to an hour home, and I get tired. So I have to either have an una mate on the way home or eat some peanuts. And I do something like that. I get home by 5 o'clock and I don't eat until lunch the next day. That's what I've been doing. So from 5, but the una mate is allowing me to do that, where before I could not. I couldn't skip a meal. I couldn't skip between meals. I had to be continually eating. My body just, it felt horrible, and I was dizzy and just all kinds of issues, which cause all kinds of issues, right? Yeah, I mean, that's how I handle it.
And then he walks
And I do.
during lunch, typically.
During lunch, I'll either walk around campus if it's nice weather, or there's a mall real close, and I'll walk around it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. So people are asking, Daryl, so you usually have one meal. Is that correct? You're kind of doing what we call OMAD, one big meal a day, or do you eat when you get home?
Sometimes I eat when I get home, depending on what
Yeah.
Miss Annie has made, or I may have a soup, or I may not.
Okay.
You know, it just really depends.
I think that that's really good for everybody to hear, because it's okay to just go with your life. You know, this isn't so strict that like, okay, if you want 2 meals a day, great. If one day you just want 1 meal, great. If one day you want to have 3 meals, great.
Do it.
It's just being able to kind of have that flexibility. For the most part, he's getting at least a 16-hour fast from the time that he finishes his meal to the time he has his next meal, a minimum of that, it sounds like, right?
Right.
But that's doable. So You guys, I don't know if you are wanting to do this or how much time you have, but we have a lot of questions. Should we go through some of these questions? I know we
Yeah.
won't be able to get to all of them.
Yeah, you can,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, do it.
Okay.
So I know, so now people are like, so Daryl, you only eat one meal a day.
I know.
So his biggest meal is usually lunch. Like that's when biggest meal is usually lunch. But then a lot of times around 4 or 5 o'clock, you'll eat something, or especially on the weekends, like we have like normal meals on the weekends, but during the weekday, it looks a little bit different. And sometimes he eats a lot for dinner and sometimes not.
Sometimes I don't, just really depends on how I feel, right?
Yeah.
You know, it just, so it's not like, I don't have that, that food noise that, you know, I've got to be continually eating. It's gone. So sometimes I'm not hungry. You know, I've had peanuts and a Nudamante on the way home, and I'm fine. So
Daryl, there's a lot of people saying, well, that's how you lost weight then, which is true in a lot of ways, right? But can you speak to that a little bit?
well, yeah, you know, that's probably true, but I would not be able to do the intermittent fasting if it wasn't for the Unamate. That I guess that's what I'm saying. I would be starving. So, you know, I would be stopping in Centerville at McDonald's and getting a breakfast as big as I could get on my way to work. If I wasn't partaking of the Unamate, my body wouldn't let me. If I made it past Centerville and I made it to Tuscaloosa, I was stopping at Chick-fil-A and getting a breakfast at Chick-fil-A. And it's gone. I don't have that food noise. I don't have that desire to stop in those places and get those breakfasts in the morning. And that's where our cost savings is. So
Yeah. And I just think that's important for people to know, because definitely there's no part of me is trying to say, or I don't think they're trying to say that the fasting isn't doing a lot of the heavy lifting. It absolutely is. Like the fasting helps a ton, but how many of us are doing that long term? And most of us aren't, because it's just hard to do. It's hard to sustain. It's hard when you genuinely don't feel that you have energy or can. And the other thing is, I'm not losing weight anymore. I've been doing this I lost weight in the beginning, but I'm not still losing weight. And I still just have 2 meals a day. So I think there's something to be said for your body getting to its healthy set point of where it's meant to be. And, you know, being able to maintain that. And so I think that having those hormones in balance is really the key. And if you're somebody who's able to do the intermittent fasting diligently without any help, then, you know, I totally think that that's a great option. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, absolutely.
And okay, so a couple questions. So he has to take this for the rest of his life? No, Barbara, so to that point, no, not necessarily, right? Like he could decide that this is simple and he just wants to keep taking it. He likes that instead of finding over 7 different plants to start his meal with to help keep his cholesterol in balance and his blood sugar low, he'd rather just rip open a packet and drink it, right? But it doesn't mean he has to. And what I also like about that is some people use this for 90 days. They feel like it gets them on the right track to where their metabolism is reset and it's easier for them to intermittent fast, and they don't feel that they need this anymore. And so to each his own, right? Like you can decide for you what you think would be best. The last thing we're trying to do is get you hooked on something forever. We just want you to feel better. And because so many people are struggling, and because of the results that I've had, and I've seen people like Daryl and Annie have, it's just hard not to share about something, you know, that's so good.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, it just has given us so much hope because it's kept his blood sugar where it needed to be. Right. And I kind of fully expect when Daryl goes to the doctor next month, where she's going to look at, you know, he wears the CGM and his sugar levels have been like so stable the last 3 or 4 months because we've been able to see it. And then, I mean, I just feel like his cholesterol levels are down, everything is down. And so I think that, you know, you're going to get some good news.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm working for it.
Okay. I want to just speak to some of these questions. Taste. Daryl, how would you reply to people asking about the taste? How is the taste?
The taste.
Oh, so there's 3 different flavors for the Unamate. There's the lemon ginger, and the apple cider.
Apple spice, yeah.
Apple spice. Probably my favorite. It's not Annie's favorite, but it's my favorite. I like the lemon ginger. I like the aftertaste of the ginger, and I like the lemon. My least favorite is the apple cider, and that's her favorite. So, there you go. It's just, that's why we love one another. We're just, and then as far as the balance, that berry is just absolutely delicious. So,
Yeah.
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 I would say if you're just brand new at this, I would probably go with lemon. Lemon's kind of the best seller. It's my least favorite, but it's most people's favorite. I like the apple spice hot. So if you like a morning hot beverage, the apple spice is really good hot. It's kind of like an apple cider vibe. But I'm with you, Daryl. I love the lemon ginger. I like it, the little kick in it. But if you don't like a kick, don't do that because it does have a little spice to it. Okay, coffee. People are asking about coffee. You can drink black coffee 100%. That does not break your fast, no problem. It's just most people don't like black coffee. They actually like all the things they doctor it up with, right? And so if you're like, well, I still want my coffee though, I love my coffee, just move your coffee and have it with your first meal of the day. Because coffee, the way you like it, probably is breaking your fast unless you're drinking it black. So you can just have it with your lunch, no problem. If I had a dime though, for how many people have told me that Unamate has gotten them off of coffee, a lot of people say that because you just feel so good on the mate. It's really, really good. Okay, so let's see what else. So, Daryl, how much weight have you lost?
I'm currently down 26 pounds.
Okay, down 26 pounds. Do you get constipated with the fiber since you drink it a lot?
No.
Okay.
I think if anything, it's made your bowels better,
Yeah,
right?
it's
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
more consistent.
Yeah, I would say the same thing that like maybe in the beginning when my body was adjusting to the load of fiber, some people get a little bit of bloating or gas in the beginning, or they get a little bit of constipation or diarrhea just as they adjust. But it always, after the first couple weeks, levels out. And then most people have nothing but positive things to say about the way that it's impacted their bowels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel like you have more energy?
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody's asking if you could take this alongside Ozempic, and yes, 100% you can. And what I love about this idea of taking it alongside the shot, because Daryl's still working to get off one of his shots, right? The Jardiance, is that right?
It's not a shot.
It's not a shot.
It's a pill.
It's a pill. Okay,
and I
so
will say this, just FYI, my sister is on it. She's been on it for 2 weeks. She takes Ozempic. She has the shot, but she's lost 5 pounds in 2 weeks.
yeah,
Doing this.
I've heard a lot of people who kind of plateau at some point on the shot. Also, the shot is not going after the root problem. It's kind of a Band-Aid solution, which, hey, I get it. Like when you're struggling, you'll take anything to help you. I'm not at all knocking it, but it is just good to know that this is going to go after the root problem. And so you might as well use this alongside what you're already doing, just to go after the root problem simultaneously, if that makes sense. And
Oh, you're all right.
You froze for just a minute, and now your mute button
You're
is there.
muted.
Your mute is there. Oh, you're still muted.
Still muted, yeah.
there we go.
There we go.
Okay, sorry. My daughter called, and so then it messed us up for a minute here. But I have just been shocked how many people are stuck. They've been intermittent fasting. They can't lose weight. They are on one of the shots, and they're plateaued. The birthdays again. Lots of counting. Sorry. And they are shocked that this gets them unstuck. And so if you've been trying those methods and you're kind of feeling frustrated, might be worth a shot for you to give this a try. So we've got some question. How is this supplement going after the root problem? Okay, so I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but we were talking about this is reversing insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is at the root. It's the cause for high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, diabetes, prediabetes, weight gain. That all of it is rooted in this problem, insulin resistance. And so if you can get the insulin resistance under control, if you can become insulin sensitive, then you're gonna be able to get rid of all those other really symptoms / diagnoses. I'm type 2. I've been on Ozempic for 2 years. I've lost 57 pounds and feel great. It's so amazing, Amanda. I have nothing bad to say about the medications. I think they've helped a lot of people. I just know that most people at about, let's see, what did you say? You've been on it for 2 years. Yeah, most people, they hit a certain point and it just, they're not getting the same impact. And yes, you could go change your medication and get a higher dose or try Manjaro or something else. But also you don't have to worry about any side effects with this. And I'm not trying to be like a fear monger, like maybe you're not worried about the side effects anyway, which is totally fine. But some people are, they don't want to be on a medication and then have to go up and then up again and then up again. And they just want to find a more natural solution. So yeah.
We were asked,
Well-
what is the name of the product? I guess if we could give them that URL again, which is missannieshomeandkitchen.com/fiber, that'll take you to our landing page. And from there, there's a button down at the bottom. You click that and it'll take you to videos and questions and the product and where to order it and how to order it and all that fun stuff.
Okay. Did you guys see any other questions you thought we should cover? I'm trying to see if I see anything.
Sandy asked, is it safe?
It sure is. I mean, that's the cool thing is because it was studied at the Cleveland Clinic, which is the top heart hospital in America. I think it's number 2 in the world. And the Cleveland Clinic, I mean, their study should have made headline news on this. But of course, it didn't because they actually said that such a product, if taken regularly, would reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid lowering prescription drugs. So the Cleveland Clinic said that if you use this, you may not need your statin, which is kind of a threatening statement if you're, a pharmaceutical company. But it got my husband off his statin completely. And he's been off it for 8 months. And he finally was able to lose weight after getting that balance and getting off his statin. So they also have the University of Sydney, which that's who created the glycemic index, where we found out like, okay, certain foods create a certain glycemic response. They studied it. And the most recent study that was done on it was done by Dr. Ben Bickman. And he found that when you have this prior to a meal, it lowers your post-glucose meal spike 34 to 37%, which is stronger than metformin. Metformin is 25 to 30%. So this beverage that you can just drink, some people are walking around the corner and injecting themselves with insulin. If you're a type 2 diabetic that's on insulin, that's what you do so that you don't lose your feet or have some serious problem later, right? You can just drink this drink and you're going to get as strong of a result. And then the mate, same thing, increases your own GLP-1 production by 70%. It helps with liver function. It shrinks fat cells. It's a mood stabilizer. So there's really good clinical studies on this. It's not just an opinion. I mean, we have some amazing stories too, but there's also a lot of science proving that it works.
Yeah.
So we've been asked several times
We could
about
be
a
on here
code.
forever.
Is there a code established, or when you go through the site, there is no code, right?
If you click straight to the code, then you should be fine. But I'm just going to double check if somebody was looking. If you just happen to go to youfeelgreat.com, you with a U, right? Not YOU, but youfeelgreat.com, and you just went straight to the landing page, then it could ask you for a referral code if you didn't click straight through their link. And I'm going to tell you what the referral code is. Let's see here.
a lot of people have been asking about water. And so I actually drink 64 ounces of water. I try to every day. Daryl has the same bottle, and you can drink water and it doesn't affect this at all, right? And we like Fresca. Our friends, Nola just said Fresca, and we love our little Fresca. That is good stuff. So,
You know what's kind of funny is Jody Moore, who got you onto this. Jody, she reversed her diabetes with this too. And she'll have her Unimate. She mixes it up in the bottle, and then she pours it over ice, and then she adds some Fresca.
yeah, makes sense. It's good stuff. It's
Sometimes
like
she
a little
says, sometimes
punch.
she just does fresh lime, but you know, you can. So Daryl, and we can customize this, but anybody who's just on the You Feel Great website right now, if you type in the referral code F as in Frank 074 FF. Okay, but we can change that so that it's a little bit easier. I do want to put the direct link in the chat. I think that would be really helpful for people. So let me get that. Annie's, will you speak that again, Annie's?
So it's Miss Annie's homeandkitchen.com
//
/Fiverr.
Okay, and I'm just going to put this URL in there. You might feel, I might go blank for just a second here, but then I'll come back on and it'll be in the chat because I got to go into my messages to get this, to make sure I'm sending the URL that'll be clickable. So hang on just one second. There we go. Okay. That should be a clickable link. Oh, people keep asking, what about people with type 1 diabetes? Can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm going to answer these couple questions I see, and then, you know, Daryl and Annie, you guys tell me. I know your time's precious, but there's the link in the chat. So type 1 diabetics, this works fantastically for. Of course, type 1 diabetes is not reversible. Type 2 is reversible. Type 1 is not reversible, but a lot of type 1 diabetics end up with something called double diabetes, because now you can have an insulin pump, or you just eat, inject, repeat, eat, inject, repeat, and you can become insulin resistant just like anybody can become insulin resistant. And so if you're a type 1 diabetic and you're noticing that you're starting to gain weight, and you're noticing brain fog, and you're noticing your energy's going down, maybe you have some skin tags, maybe you're noticing some floaters in your eyes or pigmentation issues, there's a good chance that you're hedging towards prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, even though as a type 1. And so this actually works really well. And most type 1 diabetics are told like not to fast, but they have found that using the system, they can, and they can remain insulin sensitive. And even if you did it eating 3 meals a day, no snacks, like it would be totally doable. So it's a really good thing for that. Not clickable. Okay. Is this video? Okay, let me find. Yeah, type 1 is a lot different than type 2. Yes, Barbara. Barbara said, I'm going to talk to my doctor about this. Barbara, when you talk to your doctor, and you can message Daryl and Annie and they can get you this exact name, but tell your doctor to look it up in the PDR, okay? The PDR, the physician's desk reference, or the digital reference guide. They can look both of the products up by name. Most likely your doctor won't have ever heard of it. And your doctor will be like, whatever. I mean, it's probably not going to do anything. They don't know anything about it, but they can see that it's not going to cause any harm. So, but they can also see and guarantee like, hey, you don't need to worry because there's nothing that's going to cause a problem. So, you're a type 2 diabetic and in stage 4 kidney failure. Do you think this would help me? So, Linda, we have a lot of people who have been in progressed kidney failure. And the answer is yes. I have seen some absolute miracles. This is anecdotal. I don't have like proof and I don't want to make any promises, but I have seen some incredible stories from people. The thing I'll tell you is, depending on where you're at on that journey, you may need to limit your liquid. I don't know how progressed it is and if you're at a limiting liquid phase, but if that's the case, then you would make some slight modifications. And Jill saying, wow, you're not a doctor. I'm not. I'm just telling you stories from people that I've seen. I'm telling you studies that have been done. Every single thing you should talk to your doctor about. I'm not your doctor. I'm not anyone's doctor. And I definitely want you to talk to your doctor. I just know what it says in the physician's desk reference. I mean, you can look it up right now online and see the same, that it's safe for to be taken alongside medications. Let's see. Yeah, your son's a type 2 diabetic and you worry about him. This would work fantastically. The code, I'll read that code off again. They're saying that the link's not clickable, but it really should be, because I literally just went straight from the, yeah, Juanita, you did that correctly. Thank you for putting the code in there.
Yeah. So friends, we just want to just reiterate this. We didn't, again, want you guys to feel like we were selling you guys, but we feel so much hope in this journey of ours, because Daryl was headed toward probably another stroke. And so that's why it took us 4 months to talk to you guys about it, because we just wanted to just try it out. We were skeptical of it at first too. Optimistically skeptical, as I think I want to say. You know, we were
Yes.
hoping, we felt like it was the right thing, and Daryl just was willing to try it, and we have had really great results. So anyway, we appreciate you guys all being here. I don't know. I think that maybe we've answered as much as we can. I know we have lots, we could be on here forever,
Yeah.
but your time is important. Our people's time is important. So
yeah, and really, if you want, you can always, like, basically, if you look up symptoms of insulin resistance, just know that this will help with any of those. Like, skin tags is something somebody's asking about, and insulin's a growth hormone. And so for some people, it's going to manifest of that in the folds of your skin where there's friction. Insulin will cause some growth in the skin. It's benign. It's not going to hurt you. But I've seen people whose skin tags just literally fall off and they don't grow anymore after a while of using this. And so it's going to be different for everyone. And I don't know exactly how it's going to impact you, because I'm not exactly sure how insulin resistance is currently impacting you, but you know, and I just hope, back to the beginning, I just really appreciate you having me on here to share about this. It is my mission to tell people simple steps that they can do that don't have any side effects, that are safe and natural and approachable. And when I've seen the type of healing that I've seen, and I've seen life-changing, life-giving results for people, it almost feels unethical not to share about it. And so that's really what we're here doing. We buy it direct from the manufacturer. You could buy it direct from the manufacturer. You get a 90-day money-back guarantee. They're offering, Daryl and Annie have a wonderful discount for you if you decide to order through their code. But really, of course, if this isn't your thing, then you don't need to try it. But if it's something that sounds like it might help you, what do you have to lose? You know, give it a try and see what happens.
yeah. All right. Well, we so appreciate you being willing to come on and just share what you know. Is there anything that you want to add or say?
No, Brittney, just very appreciative of your time this evening and your willingness to share the knowledge that you have.
Yes.
Yeah,
And we are just, we appreciate all of you guys being here. We love you. So, and Brittney, we always end every single one of our little things we have 2 little sayings, and this is from Daryl's stroke. And so we just remind our people to be
stronger every day.
Know that you can do hard things, and we will see you guys next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye,
Thank
Brittney.
you. Bye,
Thank you.
Brittney. Thank you.